Welcome to the Art Scene Online Music Business Workshop. I am your host, Jonathan Shaw, and we are proudly sponsored by the National Arts Council. This is the 14th and last video in our video series on the music business. In this video, we'll be looking at marketing for live events. As a new artist starting out in the music industry, one of the best ways to develop your craft and be able to get noticed is to start performing at live events. Now, these events can take shape in a lot of different forms. Often one thinks of open mic nights or where anybody can perform. You could think of performing for your family or your friends and just finding some way to start to get attention and then getting feedback from that. Your family and friends might give you some honest feedback that you can use and then tailor your craft to be able to improve. You might be able to perform at an educational function such as your school or university and get an in terms of being able to perform in front of an audience that is, fairly judgmental about how you're going to perform. And that's not a bad thing. That means that people are going to be able to give you feedback and you'll feel when you're doing something right. And that is the high that a lot of artists ride on. But then you need to come back from that to be able to say, okay, where do I need to improve? You could enter competitions. There are lots of variety and talent competitions that one can go and enter, and that can help you also get a sense of what people think about you because they're a direct judgment on how you are performing. Then you could start giving free gigs or free performances, so offering to perform at coffee shops and provide background music for restaurant patrons. This is a great way to be able to start getting into the commercial side of the industry. Then, of course, you move into paid gigs. What does that mean? Is that somebody actually wants to pay you money to get up on stage to be able to entertain. It takes a long time from when you start to finally getting paid and then sustaining that paid work that is the lifeblood of most artists and how they operate in the industry today. And then if you're able to conquer that, maybe move up to stadiums and be able to play for thousands and thousands of adoring fans. And that's where we would all like to be, right? And then finally, you move into tours and tour all over the world in different venues and be able to make it as a career as a performing musician. So let's set the scene. As the artist, you need to be able to play your instrument very, very well. Have you practiced enough that you remember your lyrics, know where you are in the song? Have you got a set list? Do you know which songs you're going to play? Is it a band? Have you rehearsed together enough? Then the venue, have you checked it for whether it's got a stage? Does it even have a backline? You might need to hire some equipment to be able to perform with a PA system, with microphones and amplifiers. You might need to hire all that equipment to be able to do your best. And then finally, does it have plug points where you need them to be? Does it have enough ventilation? All of these things are factors that could make or break a performance. And then finally, understand your audience. Who are the kind of people that are coming to your gigs and what do they need in order to enjoy themselves at those performances? So how much do you charge for an event? A lot of new artists don't know what to charge. And you really charge what it costs you to put on the event and then, of course, your profit that's involved. And this revolves around how much of a demand you have as an artist for what type of music you're playing. Maybe you're just doing covers and you can get by charging a nominal fee and paying cover versions of songs. Or is it original music? And that's even harder to create a demand for. The time of day, whether it's lunchtime, you might not get such a great turnout. Evening might be better. All of these things are considerations. Whether you need to have an outdoor venue, an indoor venue. Do you look at advance sale and you try and get as much people to be able to buy tickets in advance so then you can predict how many people you're going to have? Or is most of it walk-up sales? How do you know? If you charge high prices, it means that you're going to get very few people coming to the events. Whereas low prices give you access to a lot more people, but they're obviously not going to spend more when they come into the venue perhaps. And what is the age of your audience? Is it a more mature crowd and they need a little bit more entertaining, or is it a younger crowd and you can get away with being silly on stage? And then finally, promoting events. Below the line refers to some sort of promotion that can't be measured. You don't know how effective it is. So that's things like walking around putting flyers up. You don't know how many people are giving out flyers. You don't know how many people are taking those flyers and actually responding to at the end of the day. Even the internet, you can post as much as you want. Unless you're doing paid for internet advertising, it's very, very difficult to reach the people that you need to. Maybe some local media, some local bulletin boards, or put up posters where people can see them in the streets. Then there's above advertising, which is all about making sure that you're paying for an amount of money to reach the people that you need to, whether it's on radio, television, or internet these days. And then the timing of this advertising. If you do it very, very early, you might find that yes, you reach a lot of people, but they've forgotten the event by the time the event actually happens. Whereas if you do it straight away, you're not going to reach enough people. So you need to balance the timing between making sure that you're reaching enough people in advance, as well as alerting them to the fact that the event is happening that weekend. And then what if you need to look at speciality advertising and making sure that maybe certain magazines you put a long-term ad into about the event to get a lot of ticket sales up front. And then outdoor advertising, being able to put it up on street pole ads and so on. And a lot of events need media partners. And so this means that they often tie it in with a radio or television station in order to reach and maximize their advertising to as many people as possible to make the event a success. And in this case, you might need to add some sponsorship to the program. And just a little bit of a side note on what's happening with COVID at the moment. So with COVID-19, it's put a stop to a lot of events out there, and a lot of live musicians are suffering. So use this time wisely to make sure that you practice, that you plan for the future and learn how to do events properly and be able to put it on successfully, so that when there's a high demand, when the pandemic is over, that you'll be able to draw enough people in and kickstart your career, and use this time to prepare. So I'd like to thank you from us at Art Scene. I'm your host, Jonathan Shaw, and just a reminder that we are proudly sponsored by the National Arts Council. You're welcome to get in touch with us. There will be contact details somewhere on the screen or where this video is hosted, and you're welcome to send us any questions you may have, and I hope to talk to you in person one day. Thank you so much for joining us.